No one noticed her when she boarded. The flight attendants smiled their usual practiced smiles. The passengers shuffled to their seats, phones out, earbuds in, and there she was, a quiet woman in her mid-30s with tired eyes and a duffel bag that had seen too many roads. Seat 14A, window side economy, middle of nowhere. She wore a simple gray hoodie and jeans, her hair tied back with a rubber band. There was nothing extraordinary about her, or so everyone thought. But as the plane climbed above the clouds, carrying 200 strangers chasing destinations, something was about to happen that would make the world remember the name no one had spoken in years. She was once known by a call sign, Viper 27, a name whispered in Air Force briefings, printed in classified reports, and etched on the inside walls of an F-22 cockpit. She had vanished after one mission, gone without medals or applause. To the world, she was just another forgotten veteran. To the people on Flight 318 that day, she was about to become the reason they would ever see land again. The first sign of trouble came 3 hours into the flight. The pilot's calm voice cracked through the intercom, trembling slightly as he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some turbulence." Passengers tightened their belts, groaned and scrolled faster through their screens. But the turbulence didn't stop, it worsened. Drinks spilled, oxygen masks dangled for a second before retracting again. The aircraft jolted violently as if something struck its belly. The lights flickered. Then the intercom went silent. The woman in 14A, her name was Captain Elise Morgan, glanced at the wings. Her trained eyes caught what no one else could. The left engine was trailing smoke, not mechanical failure, but impact damage. Her instincts screamed louder than the panic rising around her. She looked out again and saw the glint of metal, something in the distance, not civilian. Her hands clenched the armrest as memory flooded back like a ghost she had tried to bury. 5 years earlier, Elise had been part of a classified interception mission over the Baltic. Her team was ordered to engage a rogue pilot flying a stolen experimental drone. She succeeded, but the mission's cost was devastating. Her wingman never came home, and Elise took the blame for a command decision she hadn't made. Disgraced, discharged, and forgotten, she walked away from the skies that had once defined her life. Now, 30,000 feet over the Atlantic, the skies were calling her again. Not with orders, but with desperation. The plane jerked violently to the left. Oxygen masks dropped this time and stayed down. Screams filled the cabin. Somewhere a baby wailed, and luggage rained from the overhead bins. The pilot's voice returned, broken, panicked. "This is Flight 318 declaring an emergency. Mayday, Mayday!" His voice was cut by static. Elise unbuckled before anyone else dared to move. A man beside her yelled for her to sit down, but she was already moving, pushing past the trembling hands gripping armrests. She made her way to the cockpit as the flight attendants shouted for her to return to her seat. Her calmness unsettled them. No fear, no hesitation, only the firm focus of someone who had faced chaos before. When she reached the cockpit door, she saw the trembling hands of the co-pilot trying to manage a plane that no longer wanted to fly. The captain was pale, drenched in sweat. She spoke briefly, showing a badge she hadn't used in years, an Air Force identification, faded and cracked. "Let me help," she said, and though her voice was steady, her heart pounded like it had that night over the Baltic. The captain hesitated, then stepped aside. Elise took the seat, scanning the instruments. The altitude was dropping fast and the left engine was burning itself out. But something else caught her attention, an unidentified radar contact nearby. The distress beacon wasn't transmitting properly, but Elise knew how to bypass civilian codes. Her fingers moved with remembered precision, sending out a distress signal only one kind of pilot would recognize, a military encrypted pulse. Outside, in the vast expanse of cold sky, 2 F-22 Raptors were patrolling a sector hundreds of miles away. The signal reached them, faint but unmistakable. The call sign that flashed across their screens made one of the pilots blink in disbelief. Viper 27. The name was supposed to be retired, archived under deceased in action. The pilot double-checked, then broke formation. "Command, this is Eagle 6. I've got a ghost call sign pinging from a civilian jet. It says, Viper 27. Back inside Flight 318, Elise fought the controls with every ounce of strength left in her. The cabin was chaos, passengers crying, praying, holding on to strangers' hands. The smell of smoke filled the air, She felt the nose dip again and forced it level. Every move hurt. Her shoulder burned where an old injury had never healed right. Her hands shook, but her mind stayed sharp. She found the balance between panic and precision, like she had 100 times before when the margin between life and death was measured in seconds. Then came the radio crackle. Viper 27, this is Eagle 6, we hear your call. Confirm situation. For a second, Elise froze. Hearing her old name again was like hearing her past breathe. She pressed the mic button, her voice breaking but firm. This is Captain Elise Morgan, former U.S. Air Force. I have control of civilian Flight 318. Engine failure, structural damage, descending over Atlantic coordinates 208 by 417. Need immediate vector to nearest safe zone. The silence that followed lasted barely 2 seconds, but it felt like eternity. Then, copy that, Viper 27. Hold course. We've got eyes on you. Outside the windows, shapes began to appear through the clouds. Sleek, gray fighters flanking the crippled aircraft like guardian angels. Gasps filled the cabin as passengers saw the jets outside banking close. The sight of those F-22s lit a spark of hope in the terror. For the first time, people stopped screaming. Someone whispered, "We're not alone." Elise worked with the control tower and the fighter pilots, guiding the crippled plane inch by inch towards safety. Her hands bled from gripping the controls so tight. When the landing gear failed to deploy, she improvised with a maneuver she had used once during combat landings. The plane's belly scraped the runway in a storm of sparks, smoke, and fire. When it stopped, the silence was unbearable. Then came the sound of sobbing, relief flooding through every soul on board. Elise sat back, trembling. Her vision blurred by tears she didn't realize she was shedding. The cockpit door opened behind her. The captain, the crew, the passengers all looking at her with stunned awe. No one knew what to say. The woman no one had noticed, the one sitting quietly in 14A, had just saved 200 lives. When emergency teams swarmed the plane, she quietly slipped away, refusing cameras and questions. But one of the F-22 pilots found her near the tarmac, staring at the horizon. He saluted her, crisp, perfect, full of respect. "Welcome back, ma'am," he said softly. She didn't reply, just nodded, eyes glistening. That night, the news spread across the world. Civilian flight saved by unknown passenger. It took days before her name surfaced. And when it did, the Air Force reinstated her record, clearing her of the mission that had once destroyed her. For the first time in years, Elise Morgan stood tall again, not as a fallen soldier, but as a hero reborn. And somewhere, high above the clouds, it felt as if her lost wingman was smiling. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that heroes often sit quietly beside us, unnoticed, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe for more stories of courage and redemption. Before you go, tell us in the comments, have you ever met someone ordinary who turned out to be extraordinary when it mattered most? Your story might inspire someone somewhere to never give up.